Mello, we've been talking about the quarterbacks and this quarterback class in this year's draft, which hasn't been talked about at all, but we haven't talked to you and gotten your take. Is this an underrated or overrated quarterback draft class?
Oh, I think it's probably both, depending on who you talk to. I don't like this draft class. I'll tell you that much. I heard you guys talking a little bit about it too. And, just even looking at some of these top guys, I don't know where they would have fallen last year. Last year's draft class, we had even Mac Jones going at like 15. I don't know if any of these quarterbacks are better than Mac Jones. And I'm not a big Mac Jones guy either, but I think it's just kind of underwhelming. We're going to see a couple guys go in the first round, but I'm not in love with any of the talent from these quarterbacks in this class.
One of the guys who's really risen up the draft leaderboards, I think, over the past couple of months is Malik Willis. And I know he had a great pro day. He says all the right things. He did a good score on the Wonderlic. But are you as high on Malik Willis as some of this steam is indicating?
I've had some draft misses in the past, Chelsa, and one of them was Lamar Jackson, and another one was Josh Allen. And the thing that makes me nervous about, 2 in 1 year. The thing that makes me nervous about him is that I think he could be a lot like those two guys. Like everybody thought, their athletic ability is not going to transition to the NFL. They have accuracy issues. They're going to have to sit and wait for a while. Now they look like two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So if I were going to take one, it would be Malik Willis, because I do think that he has that boom potential to be something special. The other hand, though, is that it could be a bust. It could look really bad after a couple of years. But he's my QB1 in this draft class. So if I were going to take a chance on one of them, it would be Malik Willis. And like you said, he had a fantastic pro day. At every stop of the way, he's been fantastic. And people aren't talking about it enough, actually. Even at the Senior Bowl, he was wonderful. Everybody fell in love with him at the Senior Bowl. He does the combine. Everybody loved him at the combine, and then his pro day. But there's still some reason that's keeping him down on the draft board. It's probably the fact that he played at a small school like Liberty and didn't really tear up that conference. But I do think that I would take a chance on him. And I'm kind of afraid also to be old takes exposed. I don't want to trash him too hard because I think that he could be special in the NFL.
Yeah, nobody wants that. I don't blame you for that. We're talking to Mello Miller, lead college football writer at the Draft Scout. Mello, there is a bet at BetMGM where you can choose over or under the total number of quarterbacks drafted in the first round, and that number is set at 3.5. The over is plus 210. The under is minus 300. Clearly juiced to the under for a reason, but can you make a case for the over hitting?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you asked me about this, Jenks. As you and Chelsea were talking about the draft, and she's like, oh, my team's not going to do anything exciting. I'll tell you, there are a lot of rumors out there that Desmond Ridder might be selected by the Tennessee Titans come tomorrow night. No. So I think that's a possibility. There's a lot of people, piecing things together that Luke Fickell and Mike Vrabel worked together at Ohio State before. Tennessee might need a quarterback because Ryan Tannehill's deal is going to be up soon. I think that's one to watch. I'm kind of with you guys, though. I'm staying away from it. It just doesn't seem like a good bet. I think we see 3 quarterbacks drafted. Like you were saying earlier, too, pick 32 at the Lions. That feels like a lock that that's going to be a quarterback, even if it's not the Lions. Somebody might trade back up into the first round to get them. But I think it tops out at 3 quarterbacks. I don't think we see 4, but it is still a little bit risky. There towards the back end of the first round, you get one of these teams trying to trade up because they think they want a quarterback in the second round. They trade up to pick 30, 31, or 32 to grab that quarterback to get that 5th-year option. That could be scary. So it's not really worth the squeeze to me either.
Well, listen, Mello, I'm going to be honest. I've done 0 homework on this NFL draft, and I know that you have done your research. So enlighten us. Give us the lowdown on either some of the rumors you're hearing about prospects that could be climbing the ladder when it comes to this NFL draft, or people whose stock is falling. Like, who are some people to watch and names to watch in this year's NFL draft that maybe we aren't looking at?
My favorite one is this Desmond Ridder rumor. And I said yesterday on my podcast, I don't even know if it's a rumor anymore. I think it's pretty factual. It doesn't mean that the Titans will take Desmond Ridder, but they're at least exploring the option of taking a quarterback in the first round because they don't have a second round pick. So that's definitely one to watch for. The first round picks, the first overall pick stuff is wild to me too. I went to bed on Sunday night thinking, okay, it's definitely going to be Aiden Hutchinson. Like, I did a mock draft. I had no doubts about it. It took me 30 seconds to put that pick in and write something up about it. Then I wake up Monday morning and everybody is talking about, well, it might be Ike Ekwonu, this tackle out of North Carolina State. And then, the Vegas odds makers change it on Monday and they have it as Trayvon Walker now. So it's pretty wild. I don't remember a draft class in a long time where we didn't know who the first pick was going to be on a Wednesday morning. I mean, even back to like Baker Mayfield in 2018, there's a lot of questions with, guys like, would it be Josh Rosen? Would it be Sam Darnold? It shouldn't have been any of those guys. It probably should have been Josh Allen. But even then, we kind of started to figure out that it was probably going to be Baker Mayfield. But on, tomorrow night, I'll be sitting there with excitement because, in years past too, you'll start using this term like the draft starts at this pick because everybody has figured out, okay, this is the first pick, this is the second pick. Feel pretty confident about the third. The draft starts at 4. Draft starts at number 1 tomorrow. And there are a lot of rumors swirling. A guy like Jameson Williams, who was a fantastic college player, his name is really rising up the draft board. I mean, I know when the season ended before he tore that ACL, he looked like wide receiver 1. And then he tore his ACL and he kind of took a dip back. A couple of weeks ago, you could have, seen him in a mock draft in the second round. Now I think he could go as high as number 10 to the Jets. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Maybe 8 to the Falcons. But he's definitely a name on the rise for sure. And as receivers rise, guys like Jameson Williams, that's going to push guys like Drake London down the board, the receiver from USC.
So, Mello, when you look at the draft and all the talent, and it's certainly top heavy, like most drafts are, but this one in particular, is there a can't miss guy, or in your opinion, who is the most can't miss guy out there? I know there's never really such a thing, but who's the one guy you think can come in and absolutely have an impact?
Yeah, this is another old takes exposed thing. I feel like every year we start to label these guys as can't miss, and then the universe is just like, nope, everybody said this. I do feel very confident about Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar in the NFL, but I do feel pretty confident that he's going to come in. He's going to play for 8 to 10 years. He's probably going to have 8 to 10 sacks every year. It might not be that superstar level of like a J.J. Watt or a Myles Garrett that you're getting, but I think he's going to be very good, and it feels like a safe pick. So I'll go with that one. I feel confident in that. Outside of Aiden Hutchinson, maybe a guy like Sauce Gardner, but then corners are so hard to predict. And some of these guys are so handsy in college that they shut down every receiver because they're holding. Then you get to the NFL and you can't touch them, and these guys get toasted for big yards. So Aiden Hutchinson he's probably the only one that I feel very confident about, honestly.
Listen, nobody gets the pressure of being on Old Takes Exposed more than the people on a sports betting show, because we put our name on the line each and every day. We get it. We're wrong on things all the time. I haven't asked you this, and maybe you don't have plays, but do you have any bets that you like? Have you looked at the board? Are there any bets that stand out to you?
There are a couple. I like to look at the over under on where a player will be picked. And there are a couple that I really like. I think Sauce Gardner, he's at 5.5 for the over under on where he'll be selected. I think he's a top 5 pick. I feel pretty confident about that one. Jameson Williams, he's at 12.5. Again, I just said, I think he can go 10. That's another one that I'm really looking at. Charles Cross, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State, he's at 6.5, but I've heard the Giants absolutely love him and that he could go 5 overall. So I feel pretty confident in that one too. But I tell you, it takes one wrong pick for all of this to just be messed up. I mean, if the Jaguars come out tomorrow night and they take Aiden Hutchinson number 1 overall, it's probably going to ruin every mock draft and every pre-bet. I don't know if you can live bet the mock draft and be like, okay, this is going to be the pick right here, right now. That would be the safest way to do it, because so much changes. I mean, with one single trade, everything gets messed up. You get one team out there that makes a bad pick, like the Raiders before have taken guys, a corner in the first round that should have been like a 3rd round pick. That can really screw it up. So betting on the NFL draft, it's stressful. I don't know if I would recommend it to people. It's like baseball. Even if you're a Hall of Famer, you've missed 7 out of 10 times. That's the NFL draft too. If you can just get like 4 or 5 of these positions right, you should feel pretty confident with yourself because it's so hard to predict.